I would say that the terminology entrepreneurship, I think, came honestly after maybe when I went to business school. I
Mm.
looked at my mom as just a business owner, a small business owner, or, our family has always hustled.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Doing the Most, the Misadventures of Entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Georgie-Ann, and today we have Kobina from COVERR, who's going to be telling us all about his business, what they do, why he started it, and I'd love to pass it over to him to give a little bit of introduction. So tell us about who you are and a little bit about your business.
Well, thank you very much for having me on your show today. My name's Kobina Ansah. I'm the founder of COVERR. I guess just in terms of background, I was originally born in Canada. My family's from Ghana, West Africa, and entrepreneurship runs deep within my family. In Ghana, my grandfather happened to own a timber company. My grandmother opened one of the first daycares, which actually the Queen of England came to visit, and that inspired my mom
Wow.
to open one of the first spas in Ithaca, New York, where when we moved to the States, that's where we are. So, when I was a kid, when I was 13 and I said I wanted something, my mom said, what you really want is a job, and, had me out there mowing lawns and, things of that nature. And so that has kind of brought me into where I am today. And I've had the pleasure of founding COVERR, which is a online financial services provider, which provides cash flow financing for gig economy workers like Uber drivers and DoorDash delivery personnel, helping them to get cash that can help them take care of short-term emergencies like the
Mhm.
busting of a tire, or help smooth out the volatility of their daily earnings. So, oftentimes drivers are making money on not just a check-to-check basis, but sometimes a ride-to-ride basis, and
Mhm.
a snowstorm can throw things out of whack. Our capital helps them smooth that out.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And that's definitely very important work. And it seems like you come from a long line of entrepreneurs, doers, creatives. And so, was there ever a time that entrepreneurship wasn't in your roadmap? Was there ever a time like that? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I would say that the terminology entrepreneurship, I think, came honestly after maybe when I went to business school. I
Mm.
looked at my mom as just a business owner, a small business owner, or, our family has always hustled. We always, we're always just kind of creative, but never thought of it in a kind of formal entrepreneurship context. In terms of my
Mhm.
background, for undergrad, I went and did hospitality finance at Cornell. And then went into consulting for a few years, and then went into specialty lending in for Wells Fargo, where I underwrote over $1 billion while I was there.
Wow.
And so my experience was really not, or my expectation really wasn't to do entrepreneurships. But what I found when I was at Wells was my mandate was to work on deals that were $20 million or greater.
Mhm.
And as a result, many of the people who met that threshold didn't really look like me. And I happened to be the only uh, person of color, melanated individual on our national practice that was actually customer facing. And that can kind of led me to think, how can I mix my experience within finance, and the learnings I've had in school to serve kind of what I consider high value underserved communities. And that's kind of what drove me to go to business school and focus on entrepreneurship, and yeah, start the entrepreneurial journey. But I'd say my family has always been kind of creatives, and we like
Mhm.
to try to have impact in society. And I guess nowadays, what used to be the hustle, or the businessman is now, or woman I should say, is now considered entrepreneurship.
Nice. I love that because I come from a similar background where, and most times, in other countries, everyone is like a small business owner. There's like the shopkeeper, the butcher, like everyone is a small business owner. And I came from a similar background of like farmers, technicians, and things like that. And so it was the norm. Like this is just what you did. And now it's like, a whole fancy process and degrees and all that kind of stuff behind it. Um, so I'd love for you to
Exactly.
talk a little bit more about now your interest in finance, right? So you wanted to make an impact, as you mentioned, and we're going to definitely get to the actual activities that Cover does. But you mentioned working in like the banking industry, and studying finance. What drew you there?
To be quite honest, it was actually a mistake. When um, when I was in undergrad, um, I was focused on hospitality and I wanted to be a real estate developer. I wanted to maybe
Mm,
one day build a hotel. My dad, would always be like, one day we'll go back to Ghana and build a hotel. I'm like, all right, Dad, cool. So that was kind of the vision. And Ernst and Young happened to be doing mock interviews, or what I thought were mock interviews, on campus. And
mhm,
so I went and did a mock interview trying to build my skills there, and they actually liked me, and they said, hey, this was actually kind of a real interview. We want to send you out for like a formal interview. And I did that and got an opportunity, and that brought me into kind of the financial realm of kind of real estate
mhm.
finance. And then after spending some years there, I had an opportunity to move over from the entities that do the kind of consulting and tell you, hey, this is a good market or that's a bad market, to being on the other side of the table where you're actually helping the people who actually build it at the end of the day. And we provided oftentimes financing for those transactions. And so that's kind of what got me there. It wasn't, I didn't, I wasn't a little banker or, aspiring banker from the time I was a child. It just kind of happened. But what I would say that, I like about it is, I like numbers and I like to see the impact that, financing can have. In my time at Wells, uh, I had the opportunity and the privilege of being on a project where, from literally ground up, from blueprint to the hotel being built, you know, in front of me, getting to see that and seeing the power of money and
Wow.
seeing kind of the job creation that it creates, the impact it has in that community and things of that nature. And so I think those are some of the pieces that led me to want to delve deeper into that industry.
I love that. He was like, it was actually by accident. And I think,
So,
a lot of these things, these moments happen just so unexpectedly, right? Like this is the misadventures, and we're going to talk about some of your more specific misadventures in a bit. But now, I want to go back to something you said as well about this hotel, right? Did you guys ever go back and build your hotel, or is that still a dream?
I would say it's still a dream. God's grace, this venture or the next, or will provide enough capital to
Mhm,
allow us to have the funding to do something like that. But I definitely still have a passion for hospitality in general, and I'll say,
mhm.
most of my internships prior to working in finance were actually at hotels, and so I still take a lot of that. Mindset when thinking about customer service for our clients.
Absolutely.
In at the hotel school at Cornell, they say life is service. And so um you know instead of just being a normal kind of finance organization who's just like, hey, pay us, that's it. We
Mhm.
really try to take the extra effort to provide a positive experience.
Yeah, that makes sense. So now let's dive into Cover. So, what inspired this business model, right? Like, I know why it's important, but why did it matter to you, and why were you the person to start this business?
If I may, just to talk about the genesis of kind of how we got to Cover, it's
Yeah,
similar in,
absolutely.
in, in that it again was not intentional. It kind of just happened. So after business school, my first venture was called Modern Lend, and what we did is we provided credit for international citizens without U.S. credit history. Ran that for a few years, had our card being used at several campuses across the country, but unfortunately we had a bad partner, which I could talk about
Mm,
later, that put us in the position where they went down, and as a result we went down. And so after that, one of my great investors said, who happens to be one of the largest financiers of auto cars for Uber cars in Mexico, said, hey, do you think you could do that in New York? And I said, I don't know. Let me try. So, something that a lot of people don't know are Uber drivers often pay as much as $300 to $500 a week to rent cars that they will never own. And
wow.
these are cars that have maybe an MSRP of maybe $20,000, and then little over 2 years, they could be spending way more than the original ticket
Mm-hmm.
value of the car. And so we thought that was, ridiculous, and wanted to provide auto finance to help these people actually buy their cars. What we found very quickly, we would deploy as much as $20,000 for these people to get the car, but we required just a $500 down payment. And oftentimes these drivers just didn't have that liquidity. They just didn't have the 500 ready on the side to make that down payment, which I found a bit surprising. But that led me to believe maybe the issue is bigger than just, auto finance. Maybe it's cash flow. And so I took $1,000 out of my pocket, gave 100 to 10 drivers to see if that money would come back. It did. And that's what led us to the start of COVERR. And so once we started providing that service to drivers, we started getting demand or inquiries from other parts of the greater gig economy, which encompasses all independent
Mm-hmm.
contractors, currently representing over 50 plus million participants in the US and growing.
Wow, that is like, and that's so important. So I want to highlight what you mentioned about, you know, taking that $1,000 from your own pocket and then giving this capital, this micro loan. And micro loans are so important. So over the last couple months, I've been on this like credit repair and just financing journey. So one, definitely micro loans are so important, especially to underrepresented and under served communities, because oftentimes there is no, not even physical banks if you wanted to bank, and then there's like such a distrust of the banking system. And as we've seen, how technology has shaken up many industries, taxis are now Ubers, delivery folks are now Instacart, and on these different apps, right, instead of working for one store. And so it may they're generating income, but that's the second thing I want to line into is that cash flow, right? We don't think of cash flow often enough. Like when we hear of businesses, like, oh yeah, are your budgets and your financing, is your cash flow running up? But that also applies to individuals, because there's this like story, and I'll just mention it really quickly, where it's just like this traveler comes into town and he puts $100 on the desk, and then he goes and says, I'm going to look at all the rooms, and then I'm going to decide if I want to, I want to pick the best one. So while he puts $100 down, then the hotel manager goes and pays off his debt to somebody, and then they pay off their debt, and it goes around, around and around for maybe like 5 or 6 times. And by the time the final payment is done, the $100 comes back to the hotel owner, and he literally just puts it back on the table. And so now the whole entire community is $100 less in debt or completely debt free. But then the traveler decides not to even purchase a room in the hotel. So what really just happened? And I think that's what we miss oftentimes. Like, yes, the money is coming in on Friday, but right now is Monday, and I need gas in order to do the work that's going to bring it the money, or I need the car, that's the $200 to invest, and then I'll get $1,000 at the end of it. So we don't often think about that again, that cash flow. So really important work you're doing in highlighting that. And so
But and
now,
if I may,
yeah, go
just
ahead. Yeah,
because my
absolutely.
lawyer would kill me if I didn't say this, just to clarify, what we provide is microfinance. It's a little bit
Okay.
different than loans. So loans are a very regulated space, and what we do is, unlike traditional loans, which look at credit history and things like that, we give these independent contractors a clean slate and look at traditional and alternative factors to
Mm.
provide them cash. So we basically just look at what is your earnings as an operator, and we basically provide you a portion of those, and you pay us back as you earn over the future month or two. So it just, because it's a highly
Got you.
regulated space,
Absolutely.
I have to make that clear, so I don't have the regulator coming out and saying, hey, you said there was a loan on this show. So
Yeah. No, no, absolutely. Yes. Correct me, or, because we want to get this right. So it's micro financing, folks. Do not come for him.
please do
Whoever's out
not.
there listening, it is micro financing. Thank you. And so, I discovered you, I came across you because I think you participated in one of the CUNY Accelerator or the State of New York programs. So I'd love to hear about what's that like, and just what has been the journey of growing COVERR. How long have you guys been around? So share that with the audience. I'd love, we'd love to hear that journey.
Sure. So um, COVERR, and it's kind of starting with the auto loan, started in 2020, and this was a few months, we launched a few months before COVID. which was just great because we were excited to go and we started funding these operators, but really, kind of, I guess, or trying to look at a glass half full. It really stress tested our idea in terms of we initially focused on serving the mobility space, so that's kind of like drivers, like the Uber drivers, or delivery personnel, like DoorDash and the like. Once the city and other regions around the country went into full lockdowns, people stopped
Hmm.
moving around, meaning their demand for riders, ridership went down, and so our clients really got into a very tight predicament, and so it really forced us to really rethink our model, but also it helped us see how important the gig economy is to maintaining quality of life for general participants. Example being Uber drivers, while everybody was locked inside, were still taking people to clinics, kind of being on the front line. People who were at home and looking for some level of, personal comfort, some type of normalcy, or making their, DoorDash order for some
Yep,
soup, or
deliveries.
getting their
Hmm.
Amazon delivery for, whatever trinket it is that they like. So, these are very important aspects that, we saw through the business. And over the last few years, we've just continued to refine and change our model. I think something where you might have seen is we recently were fortunate to be recipients of the 2022 Make It Awards, sponsored by the New York Knicks and Squarespace.
Hmm.
And as a result, they kind of, I guess, did certain PR to broaden our name out there, which has been, we've gotten some additional business through that, which we're thankful for. But our ultimate goal is just to be the trusted resource for gig workers, and we continue to look for ways to add greater value to this very valuable yet underserved community, or historically underserved community.
Awesome. And again, this is such important work, and I see it every day. I have been in the gig economy, and then have family and friends, and so it's just, and that's where careers are transitioning to. And there's like a colleague that I have, he calls it like a portfolio career, or career portfolio, where people are in and out. Some people, they have, you could have in your career, right, your full career, you could have part-time jobs, contractor roles, freelance work, gig work, full-time work, cell phone, self-employed, and people are fluctuating in and out of all these different ways to generate income, and having that flexibility of life and work. And so now we're about halfway through the episode, and I want to ask you, what is a misadventure, right? Something that was so unexpected that you experienced while building this business, or
Sure.
even a previous
So,
business, just on your entrepreneurial journey overall.
well, one interesting thing comes to mind. I think could be helpful for any aspiring entrepreneurs. It talks about, I guess, grit and just getting through things. Is um, the beginning of last year, I believe 2021, right in December. It took us quite a long time to find a bank that was willing to work with us with the way that we work and the demographic that we're dealing with. It took,
Hmm.
surprisingly long time to find a bank. We finally found this bank. We started working with them in the beginning of 2020, finally launching, at the end of 2020. It looks like, we think, this corona thing is over. We're going to come back to normalcy. And they, at the end of the year, tell us that the bank is getting acquired. And they're like, but don't worry, nothing's going to change. This new bank is going to be working with you. You don't have to worry about anything. You're good. uh, March 6th happens shortly thereafter, which is, crazy event that happened for the nation. And
Hmm.
about a day or two after that, I get an email that has like 12 people on it from the bank, including legal. I'm like, there's no way this is a good meeting.
Yeah.
Get on the call, and they say, hey, so huge surprise to all of us, the bank that is acquiring us does not want to work with any, basically, startups. So we need to, we're gonna have to transition you out within about a month or two. So this is something that took about a year to put together. They're asking us to now transition in a month or two, which
Mm-mm.
was, startling to say the least. And they, to, I guess, try to smooth the waters a little bit, they offered some type of monetary compensation for the disruption. And I guess when I initially I saw it, I knew that what it was about to do to our business was quite significant. Um, and I knew I was dealing with $1 billion bank, and we were a small startup. This
Yeah.
little money that they were giving us, it's not that significant to them. And I thought, is it possible that they could do more? So after going through that meeting, I thanked them, and I followed up with an email just to say, this is how significant this is going to impact our business. You guys are very aware of how long it took us to get this off the ground with you. We went through so many rounds of
Mm-hmm.
diligence and proof points and this, that, and the other. Um, is there any more that you could do from a financial perspective to help us in this transition? It would be greatly
Yeah.
appreciated. And what happened is I get on a call about a week later, and they 3 times the amount that they're giving me.
Oh,
So,
oh.
uh, you know, what I learned from that experience is it doesn't hurt to ask, right?
Mm-hmm.
The worst thing they could have said is no, which they didn't. And as I said, I don't want to disclose the amount of money, but
Yeah.
it compared to $1 billion company was not material to them, but it was material to me. And it actually provided us with the runway or additional cushion that we needed to make the transition. And it ended up kind of being a blessing because with that banking institution, we were only able to serve operators in New York State.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we actually ended up finding a new bank to work with, and they allowed us to work across the country. So pretty much all 50 states, which materially increased our, the pool of people that we can support. So, that was a blessing in disguise. But the bigger lesson I would say was, it never hurts to ask. So now every time I go somewhere, I'm asking for everything. Domino's, I'm just like, can I get extra pizza? Can I get some extra cheese on the house? Worst case scenario, somebody will say no. So I think that is it.
Yeah, and I love that misadventure because if folks have been listening for a while, like I always talk about, shooting your shot, right? Like that's how you get stuff done. And like that to me was just like the hearing that was like this a great story, like a great example of you miss every shot that you don't take, and as well as what some I think with Meek Mill, like closed mouth don't get fed, or that's just a general saying, but it's just like
Hmm.
you have to ask for what you want, and if you already know, okay, the worst thing that can happen is no, but guess what? If I don't ask, it's already a no. It's
Hmm.
already a no. So what? They're going to
Hmm.
just confirm the no. That's not bad, but there
Hmm.
is an opportunity to get a yes. So shoot all your shots, folks. You never know what could happen, and this, oftentimes, and from the different episodes we've had, misadventures are really a blessing in disguise. It might feel like the world is crashing because I can't even imagine what you all had experienced because it took so long, right? Over a year to get to this point. We're like, we're good. We're gonna keep going. It's a new year. We've been in this for a year now. And it's like, actually, no. And you have 30 days to get out of this house.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. And best
So
of luck.
best of
It,
luck
it,
to you.
yeah, it was quite crazy, but I would say also that this is just it's part of the game.
Hmm.
I think when I started entrepreneurship, I thought it's going to be some like linear path. You just keep working hard and it's all going to, like, now I expect crazy things to happen. Like, I know something is going to happen. So just need to be prepared to like work through that storm and have that grit to push forward. If you keep your head down, you keep that faith, you keep that conviction, you will get through it. But you have to
Hmm.
understand there is going to be something that you're going to go through. I'm sure even Elon Musk has gone through some significant um, you know, hurdles to get to the successes he's experienced.
Yeah. Every day as an entrepreneur, it's like when you get like a calm day, you're just like, oh, what's happening here? Who broke something? Because whatever y'all broke, it
Yeah.
has to be really bad. if we haven't,
Yeah,
learned about it yet. So,
exactly.
so and now I want to, go into the aspect of mental health. So, in the show, we focus a lot on like mental health and how it impacts. So, as an entrepreneur, you are the founder of this thing. So, one, I'm pretty sure anxiety and blood pressure went all the way out the roof. Like, it's not even in your body anymore. It's just like in the air around you when you heard this news. And then to, now hindsight is always 2020, right? Now it's looking back like, wow, we're so happy that happened. But in the moment, and just as an entrepreneur, can you talk to us a little bit about how you have managed your mental health and just been able to go through all the ups and downs that entrepreneurship offers?
To be very transparent, it is a work in progress. I believe it seems as though you come from a family that of immigrants, possibly.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
my family, again, is from Ghana, and just like the West, they people are starting to come to and become more open to these things. But in the past, it wasn't something that you even talked about. You're sad, stop being sad, be happy. Like that's it. And so, kind of going into this, I never took mental health seriously, but I would say that I've had some times where I have felt uh, really down and didn't know exactly, what to do. I had the pressure of, paying my team, meeting the expectations of my investors. I've been
Mhm.
blessed to go to great academic institutions, and have I taken the right path? Because some of my, classmates are doing great things in other large companies. Like, why did I choose the hard path? All of that. And you even talked about, like, blood pressure and things like that. And, you know, uh, watching what it is that you eat, because it's very easy to be like, hey, I need to grind. I need to grind. It's just easy to buy pizza or whatever it is. But, I was watching something yesterday, and this comedian was just saying, your highest value resource in life is health. Health is wealth. People say that and you take it lightly, but as you're seeing people drop left and right, that really is
Mhm.
super important. So just in terms of, I guess, uh, how I am trying to approach it at this time, the things that I would say help keep me going, keep me grounded is, I personally have faith. I pray every day. That, for others, that may just be meditation or whatnot, but it, centers me, helps me to think about, the people who I care about, and, uh, you know, you know, trying to have some perspective to know, I am blessed to have the opportunity to work on
Indeed.
my own vision. A lot of people, Ukraine, wherever, are going through a lot worse situations. So it's not that bad. Um, having good family, speaking to other founders, because a
Mhm.
lot of people, when you go onto people's LinkedIn or Facebook, they're always posting their wins. They're never posting their losses. And so it can sometimes
Exactly.
feel like you're the only one who's going through something, which is not the case at all. So keeping other people that you can stay, in touch with, who understand what it is that you're going through, so you can trade notes, and sometimes it's just, it's just a therapy session, and that's okay. And then I would say, at least for me, is something that I've really enjoyed is doing, cardiovascular type activities. Specifically, I hate to say, because every time I'm on a podcast or something, I drop their name, but Peloton has been a really big thing for me. I pretty much, bike every other day or something like that, and it's just a nice opportunity to take your mind away from all the craziness of the work that you have, but, do something that, is going to benefit you. Doing some type of exercise is good for your body, even if it's just a walk outside. It's good for you and
Absolutely.
allows you to, hopefully clear your mind for a second. So that's where it is. But I'm not a professional. I honestly think that I'm surprised it's not bigger, but there should be like talk therapy or therapists for entrepreneurs,
Mhm.
because it's an incredible amount of stress that one's going through, and this highs and lows. You win an award, next week, you have to let somebody go, or somebody's stolen from you. The next week you think that you're about to close a deal. The next week the person who was leading that deal effort gets fired from their company. So you're starting from square one. It's just like this huge you know
Up and
I don't
down.
up and downs, which can do a lot on your emotions. It can play really heavily
Absolutely.
on your emotions. So, there should be a resource. People should think a lot more about mental health. And so it's great that it's an area that you focus on in your program.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really appreciate you sharing that with us because it is so true. You never know what's coming as a founder, and and if you have a team, if you have other people around you, whether it's your team in your business, your family, your friends, they're all expecting you to know the solution. It's just like, oh, this broke. Can you fix it? And so you are then put in this position of I have to lead. Like I need to make sure, and what in order to lead properly, you have to make sure that you're good before you can even help or support everybody else around you. And I think there's this idea that it's okay to deplete yourself and kind of give everything that you've got. And I'm just like, no, 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 no. We have to remove that idea, because if you give everything that you got and then you're completely depleted, but the folks around you are okay, then what? Right? And then like you said, people are dropping left and right, whether it was from stress or and there was some topics that I've been reading about where it's just like focusing on the direct relation with stress and high blood pressure that then leads to diseases, whether it's like cancer, brain tumors, dementia, just various things that happen. Like your body will show you that it was not happy with how you strained it in those years. And so we have to be really mindful of what we're doing, how we're doing it, and or brains, because of technology, because of the fast moving ecosystem that we're in. We're online every day. We're in such a different environment than we were literally 50 years ago. You don't even have to go the full 100. And if we want to add in the 100, the way we worked, the way we lived, the way we interacted with each other, the relationships that we had, it was completely different. Now we could take in our brains information, a month's worth of information in 5 minutes, scrolling on social media. And so we have to be cognizant of how we manage that and how we use our mental and physical capacities. And yes, Peloton, you better sponsor him. He shouting out all these podcasts. So if a Peloton representative is listening, go and find Kobina and make it happen.
Well, I guess one last thing, if I may
Yeah,
say, that I
definitely.
think can contribute to also mental health is um, having an appreciation for, I don't know, I guess time. So a lot,
Mhm.
when thinking with entrepreneurs, a lot of times it's like, what is like the most valuable thing? Is it money? Like, yes, you need money to have your runway, but like really it's time. Time is your most valuable resource. And something that I've tried to put a greater emphasis on as of late has been making time for friends and family and things like that. For example, something that really sticks in my mind is um, I won an award on my last venture, or the team won an award, and we were going to be flown out to Spain for some part of the award ceremony, but that happened, and then the next week they were going to take us to London, or vice versa. But the weekend that we were supposed to be there happened to be one of my good friend's weddings, and
Mm.
um, and during his bachelor party, I had another event, and I told him on his bachelor party, hey, I can't make it last minute, but I will 100% be at your wedding. I didn't expect the thing to happen over his bachelor party. I certainly didn't expect, I didn't anticipate to receive that award. And I thought when winning this award that this was going to like propel our company. We're going to
Yeah,
create
change
some crazy,
everything.
change everything. We're about to be, millionaires from it. So I have to, I can't miss it. And it ended up being like a fun event, just pretty much a fancy dinner in Spain. Great. But I missed a very important day for this individual. And, our relationship changed, since then. Right. And so when I think to, prioritization, sometimes you got to prioritize friends, family over something that generally speaking isn't likely not going to be that significant. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Doing that one extra pitch, over being at a life changing event for somebody is probably not going to be, that one opportunity that would change your life. Maybe, okay, if Elon tells you, hey, come, and pitch to me, all right, that's a very significant opportunity. But if it's just something random. So anyway, it just came to mind that keeping good people around you is important. And the way that you do that is, you have to nurture
Maintain
that.
the
You have to
relationships.
grow that, and so make the
Yeah.
time.
And thank you so much for sharing that, because I have similar experiences in my journey, just missing important events, or just feeling so depleted, right? Something happened in your business, you're at a wedding or a baby shower, or a significant event that, you can focus in. You're at the water park. Just last year, I was at the water park with my family,
Mm.
and my phone, because there was like a couple key events for the company coming up, and my phone ended up breaking. And because of that, there was like a series of just not great events. Like the client wanted to call and do a review, and I'm talking on the phone with my earpods while the phone is broken. I cannot see the
Oh,
screen. I'm just
oh no.
shooting my shot. And
Oh
so then I had
gosh.
massive anxiety, and literally after this, like 48, so I didn't really, I participated in the activities of my family, but I wasn't fully there. So not only was I not fully there, I couldn't be fully there for the client. And then what ended up happening was just like the accumulation of all of this. I suffered from a significant panic attack like that Monday. And
Mm.
so now it's just like this depletion. And so that's why I really am very transparent about this experience, because people will look at you like, oh, you're a superhero, you're this, you're great, and da, da, da. And it's like, we struggle too, and it's just that we may try to put up this face and carry it well, but it's important to talk about these misadventures, talk about our mental health, and be, that thing that you mentioned, talk therapy, specifically for entrepreneurs. And I know a lot of entrepreneurs have therapists, but I think having group sessions and really just being able to unwind and be really transparent about our experiences is very important and essential to us not losing our minds, literally and figuratively.
I totally agree. I totally agree.
Yeah, so we're coming to the close, and with that, I want to first thank you so much for being here and sharing your story and sharing your experiences in your business. Definitely, everyone, go check out Cover. There'll be information in the description box below. But before we go, what piece of advice do you want to leave with the audience with? So, any entrepreneurs out there, just thinkers, doers, dreamers, what would you want to share with them?
Well, first, I want to thank you very much for having me on your show today. I guess a few things that I would think are kind of, I don't know, three pieces. One would be time is your most valuable resource, even more so
Mhm.
than money. So, be very thoughtful about the way that you choose it. Be very thoughtful about the partners that you have, whether it be your co-founders in your business, because difficulty there could be like a divorce, or the partnerships that you work with, whether it's bank partners or whatever is appropriate for your group. Be very thoughtful, because something going on their side could really adversely impact your business. And then, yeah, make sure that whatever it is that you're doing it because you're passionate about it, not because of the money, because you're going to have to go through highs and lows. And if are not passionate about the underlying business, you won't have a chance of making it through. So make sure that, you are very passionate about that, whatever your vision is, before starting the journey. And I guess last, have fun. That is it.
Yes, and definitely have fun, have a good time, be strategic, be smart. So thank you so much, Kobina, for being here. Everyone, we're gonna link to his LinkedIn, to Cover, and more details in the description box below. And we will catch you all in another episode of Doing the Most, the Misadventures of Entrepreneurship. Bye, everyone.